Welcome to the Sonic Truth Dynasty Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Alan Cislowski of RotoWire.com, the moderator of the first annual, we'll call it that, first annual Player Profiler mock draft to end all mock drafts. But I don't even know why we named it that, because there's going to be many more mock drafts, including one like in a couple days, hosted by Cody. But that said, we managed to get some of the best mock drafters, not real drafters. These are just really good mock drafters that we brought here. And what we're going to do is we're going to put together this 3-round rookie mock draft. And then we'll do this exercise again after the real NFL draft. But that said, let's just introduce the panel real quick. We'll go through that and then we'll get this underway, because people have been asking for this for months. I mean, this has been like one of the on the Sonic Truth podcast, one of the biggest things. When are you guys going to do a mock draft? It's happening. It's tonight. All right. First, in the first position, picking first is Scott Connor. You follow him at Charles Chill FFB. Scott, welcome back to the Player Profiler world of podcasts.
Well, it's not welcome back because it's the first annual, but glad to be here. I drew the prime spots. A lot of content out there on what to do with the 101. Not going to be any trading back tonight. We're going to make a selection, but thank you guys for having me on. Should be fun.
Is this rigged? Is this rigged?
Yes.
This is who I would want with the 101. This is where Scott is really going to show us his money. To pull his wallet out. He's going to put it on the table, and he's going to show us his bona fides.
Be careful what
he really loves quarterback.
Yeah, be careful calling this rigged, or you'll end up.
But I don't know. But I don't know what's going to happen. But I have no idea. But all I know is this feels rigged in a good way.
Yeah, don't be careful if you say rigged, because we'll give you the Fox News or the Dominion did to Fox News, man. We'll cost you multiple hundreds of millions of dollars if you libel us here live on the air. Wait, it's your company. You can say whatever.
Murdoch sued himself?
No. Fox News just had to give up $780 million to Dominion.
Is that the guy from Succession?
Yes.
Is that what that is?
Yes.
That's how I know Fox. I don't watch TV. I only know it as they tell me that's the channel that they base the Logan Roy character on.
Yes, on Rupert.
That's the only reason I even know what's going on.
All right, in position 2, Cody Carpentier. You follow him as I do at Carpentier NFL. What is your title now? What is is it the director of content? Is it the king of podcasts? I mean, what are they calling you nowadays? And is your salary commensurate with your title?
Whatever you want to call me, Alan, you can call me. You're the man. I appreciate you having me on for the Sonic Truth Dynasty podcast, doing a little mock draft action. And let's get it.
I like head of football, Cody.
Have at it.
You like head of football?
Sure, let's go.
Okay, good.
All right, head of football. In position number 3 is going to be Jax Falcone. You heard him recently on the Mind of Mansion, and also representing a different time zone than most of us over here on the West Coast. Jax, welcome back to the world of Player Profiler podcasts.
Thank you so much. I intend to snipe Mr. Podfather as many times as possible and make him make faces.
So, Jax, I want you to duck under the number of viewers in the live banner so people could see it, because I don't know if I could see it there. Duck, or sit back. Give it like a little gangster. There he is. There he is. We all need to see your face. We need to see it. It's guaranteed. I might switch spots with him. No one needs to see me. In the 4th position is going to be Randall Memphis Young. You all follow him at DWZ Memphis. He is the host of the People's Dynasty podcast, the Dynasty Warzone. What's up, Memphis?
Not much, man. Excited to be here, mixing it up with these guys all week. I've been like, in rounders, they say if you can't spot the fish at the table in the first 15 minutes, you may be it. So I'm looking around, seeing a lot of heavy hitters, and excited to be here.
Yeah, that is the humble brag. We all know it when we see it. So sitting in the 5th chair, picking number 5, is going to be Matt Kelly, the carnival barker.
What the hell are you doing? Aren't I 4?
He's 4.
4th chair.
Yeah, he got us confused. We look so much alike.
All right,
sound alike too.
Christ.
Let's do this count again. I got Scott at 1.
Alan?
Let's start over. Can we just start over?
Alan!
All right, we're going to start with the intros again. All right, it's
start over. We're live.
Okay.
That was very professional, Alan. The camera switch right there. That was smooth.
Yeah. It wasn't me. That wasn't me. That was Cody.
Cody, that was it was unbelievable.
I'm going to take credit for your switch, though, Cody, if you don't mind. So Podfather's picking 4th. We got Memphis picking 5th. So everyone knows Podfather. You're in the 4th position. I was wondering why Jack said he was going to be sniping you. Are you going to allow that to happen?
He said he's going to be sniping because I'm the number 4.
Right.
I don't understand. Anyway, I love the 4 position. That's what I wanted. As if this is rigged. It's not rigged.
It's a good spot.
What I wanted. We didn't put Scott where we want for best content. This is not what happened. This was random chance and lottery based slots.
Yeah, I mean, we just kind of randomly did it this morning, and that I could attest to that. I pulled him out of the proverbial hat, and bringing up the tail end. You know him. He is. What is your title nowadays, Theo? Before I introduce you, I don't even. You guys have all these fun titles at Player Profiler.
I am the director of podcasting, and I'm the senior fantasy analyst at Player Profiler, Alan. And I'm a co-host with you and Matt here on the Sonic Truth Dynasty podcast. And I'm so stoked for tonight that this came together. I love podcasting with Scott. I love podcasting with Jax. I love podcasting with Cody. Love podcasting with Memphis. And to have all of you guys together for this is just awesome.
You didn't say you love podcasting with me. I didn't.
Well,
hear
that's
that.
a given. That's a given,
Okay.
Alan. I don't
All
even
right.
need to say that.
You just
Alan,
mild.
what's your title, Alan? What's your title at RotoWire? Is it Head Bald Man?
Yeah, it's bald man who gives head.
What?
Why?
I mean, sorry, it's the other way around. The other way
Just
around.
why?
Jesus.
Yep. You follow Theo at VOG Fantasy. All right, let's restart the stream. Let's
You
restart.
just don't even see it coming with this guy. I love it.
There you go. Don't see it coming. I didn't.
I know. I'm here for you.
Yeah. All right. Let's get this thing underway. Let's not waste any more of anyone's valuable time. First pick, Scott Connor. You're on the clock. Treat this serious. Oh, let me go over the rules.
Treat it
Superflex, PPR, tight end premium, because that's what most of the. If you're watching a mock draft at 8:00 East Coast time, a week before the draft, you are a Superflex player, except if you're Theo and playing in the FFPC, and it's tight end premium PPR. So we're going to treat this as such. You're not a rebuild. You're not a win now. You're just a neutral team. So with that said, we're going to treat this seriously. 1 Bitcoin entry per person. So this is big money right now. You're on the clock, Scott Connor. Pick number 1.
Well, I just want to clarify. I showed up and was given the 1 spot. I gave no favors or anything to get it. I just showed up and got it. I'm not going to take a quarterback as much as it would create some drama to start. I'm not going to do it. I've put out a lot of content where I've said 75% of teams in Dynasty are not ready for a running back in the current landscape, but I'm going to take one. We're going Bijan 101. The more I look at WAR or wins above replacement, it's shrinking at the running back position, meaning the market overall in Dynasty is down on running backs across the board. If I can hit on one that is a difference maker, historically 21, 22 or more points per game, it's actually a stronger bet than it's been in past years. So I don't think you can pass up Bijan, especially if you have some semblance of a contending team. Even middle of the pack, you got to take him. So I think he's a clear 101 with what we're doing tonight.
All right, that makes sense. That seems to be consensus. Real quick, and this is just a yes or no answer. If somehow Anthony Richardson, who's plus 1,500 to be the number 1 overall pick, which is a super long shot, if he ends up being the number 1 overall pick, would that at least give you pause taking Bijan at 1?
No.
Okay, fair enough. Move on. If you could just hit select Bijan in the actual sleeper draft. And by the way, if you want to follow this draft, you see it on our screen, but also linked in the video description or the audio podcast description, we will have the link for the sleeper board. You could see it on full screen. All right, Cody Carpentier is up with pick number 2.
This one, many would just expect to go Anthony Richardson. I'm not going to do it. I'm going Jaxon Smith-Njiba.
Oh, wow.
Superflex.
Jaxon Smith-Njiba. I'm going Jaxon Smith-Njiba, wide receiver, right? 21 years old. He did the 1,600-yard season in 2021. We didn't see him in 2022, and I think he's only going to continue to grow into the NFL. We've seen it from these receivers the last few seasons from Ohio State. When you look at the prior 2 classes and the next class, boom, 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 year after year. I think he fits right in that mold with Jefferson and Chase. Give me Jaxon Smith-Njiba. I think he belongs in that tier and in that conversation.
All right. Emoji Pepper. This is the first hot take we've already had already. Podfather, is this year's is this a bigger surprise than when I took Trevor Lawrence in a 1 QB league over Javonte Williams?
No, of course not.
You're okay with this?
Jaxon Smith-Njiba is an order of magnitude higher on our rankings for rookie wide receivers than any other. So he's getting the clear premium wide receiver here. Maybe his fake team needs receiver, even if it needed all the receivers in the league, even if he was rolling with Richie James and Isaiah Hodgins, right? If he basically had the Giants version of a fantasy wide receiver core, the pick would probably be not Jaxon Smith-Njiba. I'm very interested to see what Jax Falcone is going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling based on what he said on my podcast that I know exactly who he's going to pick, which is teeing me up for the player I want, but I want to hear what he has to say.
Jax Falcone. Isn't it Jax Falcone? Not Falcone.
It's Falcone. It's a fake name, so technically it could be whatever the hell you want.
I thought it was a Falcone.
Hey.
Right. And
so I was actually curious as to what Cody was going to do here, and Jaxon Smith-Njiba off the top rope I didn't have that on my bingo card. And it really is kind of one of those things with these three quarterbacks with CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, and Anthony Richardson. I am super skeptical of Anthony Richardson and whether or not he's going to become anything. And I've been CJ Stroud 1.01 or quarterback one the whole way.
Yeah.
I am gonna throw a bit of a curveball.
Oh yeah.
And I am going to select Bryce Young.
Yes.
I'm going to select Bryce Young because I don't know who to pick, but I will say that if Bryce Young goes 1.01, it sets up perfectly for him. So you can have Anthony Richardson, you can take him pod, have him. I'm going to take Bryce Young and just count my money for 10 years.
Did you see what the updated odds are on Bryce Young? It's minus 1,500 now on DraftKings for Bryce Young to be the number one overall pick. I mean, he could be bad for 2 years and still have a starting job. So I like the security there. Podfather,
he's excited.
Oh, value alert! Value alert! Upside and value.
You're welcome.
Who thought it was possible
To
get
Anthony
Anthony Richardson at the 104? That's what I'm doing. Where do I click? How fast can I click this?
The clock is not going to run out on you.
Oh my God! Oh God, that feels so good.
How good is that? You're welcome.
Oh my God, it felt good.
You're welcome.
Oh my God,
Podfather, where do you think Anthony Richardson's going to go?
Risk, though. There is risk.
Yes.
This is a calculated risk. Fortunately, I don't have to weigh the opportunity cost of a CJ Stroud going 101. We now know that's not that would have been very interesting. Now, Jax would have gone CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
If it was, minus $1 million, he would have gone Stroud.
Yes.
So that's why I had the 104, but that's why the 104 is such a great pick. Great pick. You can't go wrong with the 104. It's the best pick. Look what just happened. I got Anthony Richardson. He's going to go top 10.
Do you guys all have a different three-way ranking of these quarterbacks? I mean, does anybody think that they would take CJ Stroud as the first quarterback?
I'm an Anthony Richardson guy. Anthony Richardson has the highest fantasy outcome.
No doubt.
And I don't care about regular football. I care about fantasy football. So I would go Richardson. It's hard for me to take another quarterback ahead of Richardson.
All right.
What about you, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him most of the drafts I've seen or have done prior to the NFL draft. He's going as the first quarterback off the board. Just big people shooting for the stars. If I'm in the spot, most cases I'm probably taking A-Rich.
Yeah, it's tough.
Stroud QB3 at this point.
Yeah,
I said in the chat, Bryce over Stroud. I don't really think that's a hot take at this point.
Yeah.
It's officially close. Now that it's
clear
clear that at the 101 is going to be Bryce Young, they're now very close.
I agree. It also depends on where Anthony Richardson lands. If he's a top 6 quarterback, then and he lands in, Seattle, say, for example, the debate's on. But what if Anthony Richardson tumbles down the board and he's in a spot you don't like, then I think that Bryce Young is the easy pick. But I'm with
the spot you don't like, Alan.
Behind an entrenched
Name a spot you don't like.
I'd have to look at the board here, but let's say
even like the worst team. If he lands in the worst team available, what is that? Las Vegas, where he has Devontae Adams.
Yeah, like Washington or something. I don't know.
Washington, where actually it's a pretty dynamic wide receiver core.
Yeah. It's a good point.
There's no bad spot for this guy.
Right.
There really
Okay,
is.
yeah. I was going to
Tennessee.
say Green Bay, but they have one. New England could do it I'm talking about if he falls, obviously.
Yeah. Cody's right. Tennessee is actually pretty.
I don't want Tennessee for any of these dudes, to be honest.
No.
Tennessee would be yes. I stand corrected. Cody, as usual, right as rain. Okay. Just not Tennessee. Really, it's just not Tennessee.
Tennessee's the worst possible outcome for your guy, Jaxon Smith-Njiba, Cody, where he's starting to get mocked a few times now to Tennessee. That would be awful.
Yep.
They'd be idiots for taking a receiver there, but that's here.
Let's keep it going. So I think that we have a tier 1, guys, depending on your flavor. If you want the safety of the number 1 overall pick with Bryce Young, or you want the upside in the rushing of Anthony Richardson, it's good to have a top 4 pick. Memphis, you're on the clock, my friend. Pick 5. What direction are you going to go here in your Superflex draft?
For me, my guy's the same guy as Cody's guy. I'm going to take the guy that Peyton Manning said looked like he was engineered to play the position, and I'm taking Will Levis. I'm not trying to hit a double. I'm trying to hit a home run. I want a guy that in Superflex that if he hits, he can win me a league. I'm not going to lose a league because of CJ Stroud, but I don't think CJ Stroud's ever going to win me a league. He's Kirk Cousins. He's Jared Goff, which is great if you want a solid QB2 with QB1 seasons. Awesome. But I want a guy that could be Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, and I know that he could also be Sam Darnold or Blake Bortles, but I'm willing to risk it at the 105 because I like smart people, and I'm going to take Will Levis.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense here. So this is very much a player profiler style pick. I do not think that this will be the consensus. So it'll be interesting. It gives people a different perspective on their drafts. A lot of people watch the show, and certainly the needle does move. This show does move the needle. Theo, 6th overall pick. It's not the last pick in the first round because we're going to continue on as if it's a 12-team draft. So why don't you make your pick, and then we'll take a short break right after that. So who's it going to be at the 6th overall pick?
So at the 6th pick, I'm going to take CJ Stroud. I will end the fall. I think when you start getting down here to 6, this becomes a value for him. Memphis brought up Kirk Cousins. That's a player who I've kind of compared him to. And I think that if that's the outcome and I'm getting him as, QB4 and 6 overall, I feel pretty good about this selection.
All right. Yeah. I mean, that is a layup. If you have the 6th pick in a Superflex rookie draft and CJ Stroud falls to you and he is indeed the second quarterback off the board, oh my, that's going to be a good one. Hey, everyone, if you're watching on the live stream, put in the comments right now, who do you prefer in a Superflex format? Bryce Young, if he is the 101 in the real NFL draft, or Anthony Richardson, if he does have indeed top 12 draft capital. So put that in the comments, and we'll be back right after these words from our sponsor, Underdog.
Let's take a moment to talk about Underdog Fantasy. Now, many of you have already signed up. Thousands have signed up from Player Profiler already over the years. Underdog has supported us since 2020. Much of what you see on Player Profiler is because of Underdog, because of their support. Get the Underdog app, plug in that promo code Underworld, and they're making the NBA fun. Their NBA pick'ems, it's changed my Wednesday night. It's changed my Sunday afternoon. I used to play Underdog just for the best ball drafts. I mean, the best ball drafts are amazing. These draft rooms fill so quickly, and you can win life-changing money. You want to take advantage of all the sleepers we talk about on this show? Well, what better place than in an Underdog draft room to do that? And I recommend taking your Underdog play to the next level by diving into their NFL pick'ems. It's important to correlate those NFL pick'ems. You can pick both the quarterbacks and the wide receivers to exceed expectations. Correlate them, and you can 5x your payout. Bada bing, bada boom. Underdog Fantasy, the promo code is Underworld. For an instant deposit match up to $100, Underdog is the truest friend of the Underworld.
Podfather, is that a one-take Charlie read right there?
Yes, but there's edits in there. You can see the cuts.
I mean, I start to feel, it's a good read, I have to say. I fumfer all over the Underdog reads over on the RotoWire podcast. I got to do that thing where I look in the mirror and maybe practice it, but
you could also get a teleprompter.
Good. All right. So
They're not actually that expensive. You can mount right on your camera. I'm thinking about getting one. No, that read was about 1:30, and then I cut about 30 seconds out. So you saw the cuts in there. Yeah.
Can I ask Memphis a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Memphis, if I would have taken CJ Stroud, for example, and it would have been Stroud, Richardson, and you were faced with Bryce Young or Will Levis. Your decision remains the
Look,
same.
dude, I'm not trying to draft a Nissan Altima with the upside of a Toyota Camry. I'm either going to get a jalopy that's going to break down the side of the road, or I'm going to get a Lamborghini. I'm not looking for an Altima. Great car, get you to work, reliable. I'm looking to win leagues. Not if I was going to draft Bryce Young with the 104, why don't I just go trade the 104 for Kirk Cousins and more picks? And then I can add a wide receiver or running back to this team. So no, I'm still going Will Levis and Anthony Richardson.
Anthony Richardson over Levis?
I have a Richardson 1, Levis 2, Young 3, Stroud 4.
Fair enough.
I have done this year for the first time. I have done safe ranks versus upside ranks. Because if you've already got a team, because everybody should have a stud. You should have a Josh Allen. You should have a Patrick Mahomes. That goes without saying in Superflex. But if you've already got like a volatile second QB, like a Trey Lance, a Justin Fields, and you want to go safe because you've got volatility, cool. By all means, take CJ Stroud. But if you've already got Josh Allen and Kirk Cousins, man, go swing big. Go win your league. Could you imagine if Will Levis or Anthony Richardson hit, and then you're rolling down your dynasty league with Josh Allen and Will Levis, or Josh Allen and Anthony Richardson for the next 5 to 10 years? Just go ahead and write the check. It's over. It's a wrap at that point. So yeah, that's how I play it. So
I tend to you see the glass half full there. I've been through enough of these rookie drafts to know that most of these picks fail. So I certainly respect it. I mean, is that Jax? Any response to that about the swing for the fences theory?
No, I appreciate the feedback, and I think it's good for the listeners to hear that type of perspective. I couldn't agree more with at least his perspective on it. That Stroud and Young are safer picks, and therefore it is a balancing act of measuring upside versus hit rate. And so at the end of the day, you just have to determine, as he quite eloquently put, what you're trying to do with your team. So at least if you know that, that's the way to play it. Yeah.
Scott Connor back on the clock. You follow him at Charles Chill FFB, the owner of Dynasty and Chill. You are picking in the 7th spot. And just to be clear to the listening audience, this is not his second pick. He is picking as the 7th team on the board.
Yeah, and word to the wise, if you're a Will Levis fan and you're sitting at the 107, see what it takes to move up to the 106. You never know who's in your league. I'll give a shout out to Ray Garvin, my cohort at Destination Devy. He says, know your league. That's the only thing about drafting Will Levis that has me a little hesitant. I went to Kentucky. I love Kentucky. I'm a Kentucky homer. But I know 98% of dynasty managers out there do not like Will Levis. You're drafting him for his outcome. There is no other out. There is no, he had a good game, I'm going to be able to trade him away for more than what I paid. So I think just acknowledge that if you're taking him. I think one thing that's not being talked about a lot is what if CJ Stroud falls in the NFL draft? Everyone talks about Richardson and Levis, but what if we're sitting there at 109, 110, and CJ Stroud is still there? I mean, Levis
I'm not going to be shocked. I'm not going to be shocked at all.
And Levis is the Vegas favorite to be the second quarterback off the board. It's not
Let's
Stroud.
go back 2 years. Let's just go back 2 years. Forget what we know now. Let's hit that, Men in Black mind eraser gimmick. Knowing what you know now, would you say that CJ Stroud's a better prospect than Justin Fields? And he fell to 11. So I'm not going to be stunned if CJ Stroud falls.
Nope.
Because if you're in the AFC, is CJ Stroud going to beat Patrick Mahomes to get to the AFC Championship? No, he might win you a nice AFC South if you're Houston. And that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to win championships.
Yeah.
You think the Bears could draft him at 9?
Oh, man.
That would be pure gold.
There you go.
My gosh.
It's like, dude, we're all in on Ohio State, guys. One of them's going to be, an enduring guy. One of Fields or Stroud will be good for the long term. We agreed. We're not. No one's 100% sold on Fields yet.
No.
With my pick, though, quarterbacks are gone. So I just implore anybody, if you like Levis, everyone thinks, he's going to be there at the 107. Like, that's where he always goes. But what if he isn't? So this should just be a reminder. I'm going to take Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't love it. But I do think the outs for a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs are probably higher than any other player in the draft. The new NFL is efficiency, good offense and efficiency. I think Gibbs is more landing spot sensitive than other backs in this class, but I also think he's going to get the second highest draft capital. He's probably going to go in the top 40, probably going to go to a team that's going to use him pretty well. So I think he's just the default pick at 107. And I can't stand the analysis of bell cow needs all the workload. Like the new age running back does not need that. You can put up top 8 running back numbers with 15 opportunities a game. That's exactly Gibbs. You're just betting on the prospect. So you got to take him here.
Theo, we've talked about this on the Sonic Truth podcast. What do you say the percentage chance that Jahmyr Gibbs is not the second running back taken in the real NFL draft?
In the real NFL draft, I still think he's more likely that he's the second running back selected. I think that there's certain people starting to mock him to be taken in the end of the first round. They're still seeing that. I think that he's the kind of back that some team's going to fall in love with. He's got a tremendous amount of receiving ability. And even if you don't view him as a pure bell cow, I think a lot of offensive coordinators are going to look at him as the kind of guy that could be a difference maker due to his pass catching ability out of the backfield. So I do think he'll be the second back selected. I'll say it's
20%.
hard. Yeah, it's low. It's low.
I mean,
I was gonna say.
you see how he
0.
answered that? You see how Jax answered that question? That's how we needed the question answered. 20%.
Actually, can I ask a better question, Alan? Do you mind? If Bijan Robinson went back to school and Jahmyr Gibbs would be the only running back with a chance to go in the first round, where would he have gone in this draft?
Yeah.
6 for me.
Yeah,
that would be where he
Yeah, no, it's a
but it changes the conversation. I think if you pull Bijan out of this class, I think Gibbs goes between the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I think he gets
I think
sprinkled
that's
in.
fair. I think
he could go anywhere actually in that range. I think that Gibbs's value is being a little bit suppressed because the Bijan shiny object is so bright.
That was the Kyle Pitts effect on Pat Freiermuth, actually. I saw Freiermuth go like in third rounds of drafts, even in tight end premiums and stuff, where I was sneaking Freiermuth into a lot of leagues because everybody was so enamored with Kyle Pitts. So, yeah, it happens.
All right, Cody Carpentier, you're on the clock. You are with the 8th pick. Eighth pick overall, first round of a Superflex rookie mock tight end premium. Who are you taking?
This pick makes me want to pull my teeth out.
Yep.
Addison versus Flowers is what it is for me. And basically, I'm going to go Flowers because I think he's a dog. He's 10 pounds heavier than Addison. And if I'm going to bet on one of these receivers to make it through while being puny like Downs, Flowers, Addison, and a shitload of these dudes are, I'm going to bet on Flowers to be the guy that makes it through. I think really what it's going to come down to is draft capital, who lands with the Chargers, who lands with the Chiefs, who lands in these great situations, and who gets screwed like Rashad Bateman did. I think when it all comes down to it. But Flowers, I see a little bit of Jalen Waddle type in him, a little bit of Tyler Lockett, a little bit of Elijah Moore. I'm just going to go with the guy that I like the most. That's Zay Flowers.
Where do you have him in your latest mock, Cody? Where's Zay Flowers going?
I have to look. I don't have it off.
Just make it up. Just make it up.
God damn. I have him 33 to the Vikings. That's what I do. I had the Vikings trade back from 23 to 33, and they take him first pick, second round.
All right. Sounds good. Pick number 9.
That's a savvy idea.
The Vikings are a great landing spot for whichever wide receiver they get if they do decide to go wide receiver, playing opposite Justin Jefferson with a ton of targets available on that team. That'd be nice.
And they should trade down as well.
That would be smart, right? Like they did when they got was it Darisaw? They traded back and still got him.
Yes.
Yeah, they traded back like 10 spots and he just still fell right to their lap. I was saying they should take him when they were on the clock. They traded back and still got him. It was beautiful. Anyway,
before we do the 9th pick, I was going to say it's interesting, Cody, that there's been some Trey Lance to Minnesota talk today, so that could cost them that pick. We'll see if that actually happens. Kirk Cousins.
If they give up that pick for Lance, they're dumb themselves. I mean, that's just.
Well, it'd be Kirk Cousins would have to go too, since he has those connections to Shanahan.
Wait. So you think it'd be Cousins the first round pick for Lance?
No shot, Alan. It would be it's Kirk Cousins' last year there, and they would take on Lance. I think that's more.
Who is
likely.
this guy hosting the show?
Yeah.
What is he talking about?
You're not paying. Well, there's been some chatter today about Lance going
Cousins
to the Vikings.
in the first rounder?
No. You said a second rounder.
No,
I don't see how you get first round value for Trey Lance.
Scott, he doesn't understand. They would trade back from the late
23.
first into the early second
Yeah, that's fine.
because they know they can get the receiver they want there.
right. And then with that pick, that could end up being part of a Trey Lance deal. That's
Oh, so you would move down from 23 to 33 and then take 33 and go for Lance.
I mean, it sounds like there's been some discussion of Lance to the Vikings today.
That
and
still sounds terrible in my opinion. But
I like
Lance. I like
And who
We'll
get
get
cut to afford Kirk Cousins? He makes a truckload of cash. And when you're paying all these guys, that's why Purdy is the option. You're paying him $75 a week and a food credit.
Yeah.
They need the cap space.
EBT card. Yep.
Memphis had some
Alan,
nice
Alan
Lance,
is officially
Lance outcomes.
tilting with his question.
The room is turned against me, folks. The room is turned against me.
You've turned against it.
Yeah. All right, let's continue on. Forget that. Strike that for the. Edit that out of the audio version.
We're getting it out. It's gone. It's gone.
Makes no sense.
Or lead with it, whatever you want to do.
There's like 7 different things would be impossible.
Oh, look, I got some sympathy in the chat. All right. If you have sympathy for me, do me a favor. Like the video, click the like button. That'll cheer me up a little bit, okay? I'm whoring for likes right now. All right, Jax Falcone, you follow him as I do at Dino Game Theory. You're on the clock with the 9th overall pick in our Superflex rookie mock.
So good. I got to tell you, I was between maybe Zay Flowers and Addison. I'm just an Addison guy. I was thinking about going Charbonnet as he's a running back that could be, probably will get early second round draft capital profiles as a every down back. But I am going with Mr. Jordan Addison.
All right. Jordan Addison. And what do you think about the influx of all the smaller, the 170-pound receivers? I mean, is this the new way? Is this what we're going to see now in the NFL in the first round?
So I do the anatomy of an elite wide receiver every single year, and the profile of an elite wide receiver is getting smaller year over year. And so we see that happening. There is an emphasis in the NFL for smaller, quicker, someone said it earlier, more efficient football, no longer sort of, throwing to the outside to these big clashers, but rather guys who can get open quickly. So yeah, there's more likely. I'm betting on Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, Downs, all the small guys more today than I would have 5 years ago. So for that reason, I feel a little bit more comfortable, but it is a little uneasy, looking at all these guys who are like 180 pounds. So, we'll see what happens. Obviously, of this class, if you see a bunch of, busts out of these small guys, we'll have to readjust.
Podfather, you're on the clock. Pick 10.
The Podfather's in dreamland right now. I can't believe this is happening. This is the second time. I was like, I thought Cody he already had a receiver. Wait, that's not right. This is a separate team I'm drafting for now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to interrupt you, but
This is a second team. So Cody did not go receiver. He actually went receiver. He didn't go receiver.
Correct.
He went
Receiver. Right.
Not receiver.
No.
2 separate teams. But wouldn't it be nice, though? Wouldn't it be nice to have Anthony Richardson and a true bell cow who does it all? Athletic, catches passes, plenty of size, could be pop 20 to 25% chance he gets drafted before Jahmyr Gibbs. Zach Charbonnet!
ooh, an astounding thumbs down. Give everyone, if you like that pick, give a thumbs up inside the chat. If you don't like that pick, thumbs down.
Like oh
give
my God, we had 2 thumbs down.
Give the throw up the throw up emoji if you didn't like that, or the poop emoji.
Well, Scott had a great case for running back, and why for the same reasons he's going Bijan at the 101. I go Charbonnet here, even over Flowers, even over Addison.
Now, listen, your guy Roschon, what's his name? Lance Airline said today that it's possible that he could be the second running back off the board.
Jesus, if that happens.
Oh my God.
If that happens, if you're tuned in on YouTube
so good
to the live draft show we're going to be doing in Kansas City. Kansas City? That's right. We're going to be in Kansas City. Not New York City. Kansas City. And by the way, I know everybody, it's a paste pecani sauce. I know I said it was Casey Masterpiece. I forgot. It was only 40 years ago that the commercial came out. And I thought, oh, Kansas City makes sense that it wouldn't be in New York City, but it's actually a Pace Pecani sauce commercial. This is made in New York City. We're going to Kansas City. We'll be there. And if Roschon's the second running back drafted, holy fucking shit.
I was shocked when Lance said that this week, and he said he was doing some investigation to see, but he wasn't convinced that Gibbs was going to be the second running back, and that's why I asked the question earlier.
You want to know why? Because when you stand next to Roschon Johnson, he just oozes NFL player. Like I was standing next to him, and I could feel like a vibe, like an energy, like a
they call
it, you know what I mean? I was like, NFL.
They call it BDE. They call it BDE nowadays, right? Well, Cody, you're part of Generation Z.
I'm not a part of any generation, dog.
It was a vibe.
Dog generation.
I'm dog generation. Yeah.
Cody's from the dog generation.
That's it. All right, we're at pick 11. Memphis Randall's back on the clock here. Now, remember, this is a new team. You didn't take Will Levis with your first pick. I'm reminding you were operating. You were the runner-up to the championship last year.
Alan making a big deal of this separate team thing. I love it.
Yeah, well, because when people are they're entertained by these mock drafts, but they're a week away from having to make the picks themselves. So they want to know what they should do when they're on the clock.
What if he traded for the pick?
Oh. You're throwing me a screwball. You're throwing me a screwball here. All right. Pick 11. You were the runner-up last year. You lost the championship game. Your team is okay, though. You're a playoff team here. Who are you taking?
Well, I would like to thank the Podfather for jamming that knife right in between my ribs because I was hoping Charbonnet. So shameless plug. Me and my co-host Jerry are now doing the Dynasty Warzone. We're streaming that live on Sunday nights on 9 p.m. here on the Player Profiler YouTube channel. And Zach Charbonnet is a guy that I comped to Larry Johnson from the Chiefs back in the day. And I was praying and hoping and hoping and praying, and it didn't do it. And you guys have bought me some time to filibuster. But if I was the 111 and I finished as the runner-up, again, I want to get players that I can potentially win with. I'm going to take Hendon Hooker. I was going to take a wide receiver. I don't want to table talk. I'm going to take Hendon Hooker. Now, I know that I'm probably getting a guy for about 5 years, and I know I'm going to taxi squad him this year. But mature, i.e. old, and a guy that's probably going to get late first, early second round draft capital. Usually if you go in the back end of the first, you go to a team that did well last year and a team that, like, if he goes to Seattle at 20 and he can redshirt for a year behind a pro like Geno, and I can have him, maybe backfill a retiring older guy like a Tom Brady or whatever. So Matt killed me, but I'm going to go with the quarterback, being that it's Superflex, and take Hendon Hooker.
Yeah, can't hate on that pick. I'm a quarterback guy in all these formats. I scoop them all up, so I certainly empathize. Theo, you're back on the clock. The last pick. You won the championship last year. Last pick of the first round. I don't know how you did it, but you somehow you pulled it off. Even with that terrible finish, the whole DeMar Hamlin split the money bullshit that everybody had to do. Sorry, I didn't like splitting my pots last year.
Listen, in this 6-team league, I dominate 6-team leagues. I never lose them. So I'm going to go with Roschon Johnson here. There's a couple guys I like here, but I think that he profiles. He's 220-pound back. I think that he is going to come in from day one and fill a role. And I think that the draft capital is going to be higher than a lot of people think. And he's also a very on-brand guy for us. So I feel confident in taking Roschon. There's a few guys that I kind of stand for that I would push up here. But I think at the end of the day, it's the value of Roschon Johnson. I can't turn my back on that.
Cody, did you have that same energy that Podfather described the first time you guys saw Roschon at the Senior Bowl?
Man, yeah, well, 100,000,000%. They were talking about Roschon at the 2021 Senior Bowl. Scouts were. So, I mean, if you've been listening to Player Profile, you've been knowing that. And Roschon, I mean, he's checked every box. He's done everything perfect throughout the last year and a half. And being RB2 off the board would be awesome.
Yep. All right, Scott Connor, you were the worst team in the league last year. You did get the 101, okay? So now you're back on the clock. It's the first pick in the second round. Your team is, it's in shambles here, so you just need good players. Who are you taking here at the 2.1, pick 13 overall?
Yeah, I mean, worst team in the league, and I'm stuck with now our running back that I started the draft with. So this is tough. I did not expect Roschon to go with the 112. I kind of expected Hendon Hooker to be off board before I got there. I would have probably taken Hendon Hooker. I'm guessing the reason I'm the 101 is because my quarterbacks suck. So it's probably one of the reasons. This is tough for me. It's 1.75 premium. I'm not a tight end fan unless the premium is 1.75 or more to where you can start, I don't want to say hoarding, but you can start actually flexing them with some viability when it has that scoring. I'm going to pass on a tight end, though, because I like this class. I think we're starting to get to the scarce point. I did want to make a point about receivers, too. Right now, I believe I looked last week, 22 of the top 60 Dynasty receivers, according to a site I will not name. Receivers are under 190 pounds or under 5'10". So there's a lot of them. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to get an elite one, but there are a lot of receivers currently in the landscape that are small. So I don't think that sways me away from this class as much. I will take Quentin Johnston. It's not a popular pick. I still think he goes in the top 40. That's all I need, top 40 draft capital. I don't care if it's pick 28, pick 35, top 40 draft capital. 11 to 40 historically is almost the exact same thing in terms of fantasy production. So I'm just banking there's somebody that likes Quentin Johnston. If I can't trade him, maybe I can flip him for another receiver, but I think he'll get the capital. I'm not as worried as others that he's going to slide.
Scott, if he's the last pick of the first round, the real NFL draft, pick 31 to the Chiefs, what do you think that does? Does he get the Sky Moore treatment, the elevated? Does he get pushed back up in, the top 5 or 6 picks, 7 picks?
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody that goes to the Chiefs or Buffalo or any of those landing spots, they're going to get pushed up. I do kind of hope just for chaos that it is a receiver nobody likes that goes there, just because it makes things more chaotic when you get into your draft. But yeah, I think he would go ahead of probably Roschon, unless you just had somebody that really, really, really had to get the running back there.
All right. Before we go to Cody,
Who's the receiver no one likes? Everybody likes everybody, except Roschon.
I see a lot of polarizing takes on Quentin Johnston. I think he's the one that there's you get in a league and there's a good chance half the managers go, I don't want him. For all the wrong reasons, but they still don't want him. Yes.
Interesting. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, no one wants the next TCU wide receiver as well.
True.
I think there's Doxson, Rager, and people are worried it's going to be the same outcome with Johnson.
Is that right?
A lot of it's Big 12 receivers. It's not just TCU. Yeah. It's Big 12 receivers in general. I think people run from a little bit.
I thought you were thinking more Downs because he's even smaller than the guys that were drafted so far.
No table talk of players.
No, I just in terms of receivers that could go to Kansas City.
All right, I saw some Johnson out there.
Kansas City's going to end up with Zay Flowers. Everyone, spoiler alert: Patrick Mahomes is working out with them today. They're going to move up like 2 spots, 3 spots, get Zay Flowers.
Yeah,
well, that's how you don't tip your hand, right? You say he's working out with Mahomes. I wonder if that's a little bit of a smokescreen.
I think that Mahomes still has a say in what happens, and I think that's going to be Mahomes' guy.
It worked out last time, didn't it, when he got Clyde?
It sure didn't, but he certainly got it done.
Remember when Mike Tomlin was working out with Malik Willis,
right,
like every day for 3 months, and they took Pickett. Remember that?
Before we get to Cody at the 2.2, I just want to ask Jax a question here. We had a question in the chat I thought was interesting. Where should Roschon Johnson be taken in a startup draft? Unlanded. So you're doing a startup draft today. All the rookies are in it. Where are you comfortable taking him in a Superflex format? What round or RB what?
That's a tough question. I don't have my rankings in front of me, although I probably could get them pretty quickly. But I off the top of my head, without looking and being prepared for that question, I would say he is somewhere in the RB 30 range. Yeah. I don't know if he's above that or not. I'd have to start looking at some of the names there. If you guys are looking at it right now, you can maybe help me out a little bit. But
all right, let me give you...
I think Roschon's going to get second round capital now, especially hearing the hype. He's got 3 down workhorse profile, and it's time to get excited. And landing spot is tough for these running backs. As a matter of fact, Alan, what I was going to say right now is, if you look at the board and what's left, there's no more top 40 sure bets wide receivers left. Like every other wide receiver could definitely be outside the top 50 pick of the remaining wide receivers. The running backs, Kendre, I love Kendre. That was a great pick, and Cody can talk about it, but he also could go anywhere from second round to 5th round. a lot of these running backs were a little bit unsure. So I think Roschon was the last of the ones that were really sure, especially based off what we're hearing from the NFL, that he's going to be a sure day 3 pick. Maybe Achane, I guess, probably will get that draft capital too. But, at 188, I'm a little scared. So that's kind of the idea. I think Roschon's the last of the bell cow, to use the term.
Yeah,
All right,
day
Cody.
day 2 pick, day 2 capital for Roschon Johnson.
Yeah.
And the answer is Roschon is a top 25 running back
There you
now.
go. Yeah.
And best case scenario, if he lands in like Dallas, we're talking top 15.
Yep. All right. That's fair. All right,
Second
Cody.
round to Dallas. Something. Yeah, sure.
Cody, you're on the clock, pick 14. You made the pick on the board, but for the audio-only audience, why don't you talk us through it?
Kendre Miller, he's not 21 years old yet. Nobody's seen him do jack shit during the whole entire pre-draft process because he had knee surgery. He's the better TCU prospect compared to Quentin Johnston. And yes, nobody knows where his draft capital is right now, but if you compare him to the last few classes, he compares closely to a Javonte Williams, and Javonte went in the middle of the second round. Again, Kendre's 20 years old, and I think he was a dominating back at TCU. Zach Evans left for a reason. Was it because of Kendre? Who knows? Who cares? Kendre did the job, and I like Kendre as a top 5 back in the class easily.
Yeah, it's easy to see in single quarterback leagues. Cody, is he a first-round pick for you?
Yeah. If he didn't have, so there's like a little bit of, I guess, unclearness as far as his health goes, but Alex was down there. Alex Dunlap from the Roster Watch was down at the TCU Pro Day, asked him how he felt, if he was going to be there for rookie camps. He said no rookie camps, but he would be ready for OTAs. They're just trying to take it safe through this process. So if they're taking it safe, I think he has some confidence in his draft capital. He'd be forcing it if he was a little scared. And like Sean Tucker did some like fake testing, and Sean Tucker had some medical issues. So, hey, I don't think Kendre's worried.
And where are you projecting Miller to go to in your latest mock?
The latest mock, I had Miller going 58th overall to the Dallas Cowboys.
All right. Jax Falcone, you are back up on the clock. Pick number 15, which is 2.3.
It starts getting tough right here. I will say there's a couple of tight ends who are probably going to get first-round draft capital, one of which is specifically a receiving tight end, and that's probably where I'm going, although there's my boy. Everybody knows I love Izzy Abanikanda, so it's going to be really, really hard for me to pass on him. But here's the thing. If we're in a tight end premium league and I've got a for sure top 40 tight end, I'm sure a lot of people mocking him. Cody, where do you have Dalton Kincaid going in the first round?
Yeah, I'm not high on any of these tight ends going, but I have Kincaid going 39 to the Panthers.
There you go. So even though he's not high on him, he's going to be a top 40 pick. I've heard, look, a lot of smoke, but I heard that he could be a top 20 pick.
Washington, there's a lot of smoke there that he goes to Washington with that top 15 pick.
Yep.
Wow. So there you go. If you get a receiving tight end in the top 20, it's very, very hard in the tight end premium 1.75 to not pull the trigger on that. So I will begrudgingly select Dalton Kincaid in this tight end premium format.
All right, it makes sense. Or just tight end 1, whoever that is on your board.
Yeah, for me, it's
Kincaid.
Kincaid.
Podfather, I know that we keep talking about tight end premium 1.75, but in most tight end premium leagues where it's 1.5, does that move the needle for you at all, or do you just play it like a traditional single PPR league? I guess really what I'm saying is, what's the point where it does move the needle or you push the tight ends up?
It certainly matters. It's 1.5 fantasy points per reception, and also there's demand, there's trade value. You know that like in a tight end premium dynasty league, man. I mean, you can get quite a bit for even Dulcich. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. It's kind of wild what you can get for these guys. You got to know that. And man,
you're on the clock at 16.
I know this is not easy. I'm not, running around. I'm not pumping my fist over here. I'm debating this. I don't like this at all. This feels tough.
Isolate those noises.
Yeah. The player I really want is not the player that probably has the most value in trade, and based on ADP. Oh man,
it's a tough spot.
I don't like this at all. I don't like this. Wait, this is not This is not the team that has Charbonnet, though.
No.
I'm drafting for the team that drafted Richardson.
Correct. So
this is the team with this is the 204.
You got it.
204.
I've seen Michael Mayer. That'd be a cool name.
Hey, put in the chat who you think Podfather should draft right here at 16. So if you think it's Israel, if it Izzy Abanikanda, is it Marvin Mims? Throw in the chat right now while he is made. I mean, you're not buying
those guys. I mean, it's Mayer, it's Mims,
Coons.
It's Abanikanda. I think those are the three guys that I'm debating.
Coons.
And I just don't. Can I pretend that I have a stud tight end or two, and so I don't have to do that?
So you don't have to do it. It's crazy because, Matt, the draft will sure things up here. Like, if I told you Izzy Abanikanda is late second round to Miami, it's an auto smash. If I tell you Izzy is, early fifth to Indianapolis, you're like, fuck Izzy Abanikanda.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's hard to pick him now, but knowing where he lands and what kind of opportunity and draft capital he has makes it easy.
If Izzy Abanikanda goes mid-second, he's taken, 6 picks ago, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So in other words, we shouldn't have done this draft tonight.
You know what I'm going to do?
No, it's actually good. It's good.
What
We'll do
I'm
another.
going to do is I like a lot of the tight ends in this class. It's very deep. And I'm going to take advantage of the depth of the tight end position.
Yep.
There's a bunch of guys I like here. This particular team, right? This particular team started with Anthony Richardson at the 104, and we're at the 204. We were swinging. We're swinging. I'm going to swing again.
He's taking my guy.
We're swinging again.
You're welcome.
Israel Abanikanda.
Get him,
That
Matt.
is the pick. That's what I'm doing.
My
I'm
favorite
doing it.
guy.
I'm doing it. I don't care. I don't care.
We knew you were going Israel Abanikanda.
I know.
You're welcome.
I tried to make it so it was a debate, but it's
You're
not.
welcome,
I mean,
Matt.
But in fairness to those that play it more conservative, and I actually do draft pretty conservatively, the guy that has easily the most surefire resale value, no matter what he does in year one, the following year, the safe move here would be Mayer.
Yes.
100% Mayer. That was my instinct, but I'm going a little YOLO here, so that's also fine. It is a running back, and there's asymmetrical upside there. It really was not Mims. I know I said Mims, but it really wasn't going to be. It was really between Mayer and Abanikanda.
All right, Memphis, you're on the clock here at pick 2.7. This is usually the spot where the first round wide receiver in the real NFL draft that falls. It happens every year, right? That they go at like 2.4 to 2.7. The one that was Brandon Ayuk a couple years ago. It was Kadarius Toney went in this spot. So are you going to go wide receiver here, or given it's a premium, is that for tight ends, is that the direction you're going?
I'll try and trade for a tight end. I lived through the great tight end class of 2017 that was going to revolutionize tight end premium and didn't. Evan Ingram had a good year last year, and Njoku came on, and it's 6 years later. So I don't have but a 2-year taxi squad to wait for these guys to on-ramp, and I can take a bigger swing later on a Kuntz or a I know what emphasis I put on that syllable.
Alan told you how to pronounce
I heard it the other day.
Even I'm offended.
Or even you're offended. Well, I'm going to take the guy that I compared to Bursty. He's T.Y. Hilton with burst. I am taking Marvin Mims. He's a guy who's rising in all the mock drafts. He's a guy that Steve Smith thinks was underutilized in Oklahoma. He had a career year without Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams leaves. His head coach leaves, and he has a career year. So for me, at this kind of a pick, I was at the 105 last year. I barely missed the playoffs. I need upside. I need guys that could come in and help get me into the playoffs this year. So for me, I will take Marvin Mims. And I was very glad that the Podfather took Abanikanda. I know he loves him. He loves saying the name. He says it perfectly. I only wish to say it that well, but I'm glad Marvin Mims was there for me.
Yeah, Marvin Mims is a good pick in this spot here. I think he'll be a popular.
Damn it, I should have taken Mims.
Yeah, instant regret. Theo, you're on the clock at the 2.6, right in the middle of the second round.
So I'm really into Achane, but I'm going to pass on Achane, and I'm going to go with Michael Mayer. I think it's kind of like my CJ Stroud pick. I can't let him fall any further in a tight end premium format. I think that he's going to be a very productive tight end in the league. I don't think he's the kind of guy like Jax's pick of Kincaid. I think Kincaid has a higher fantasy outcome. Like in his range of outcomes, I think Kincaid could give us a top 3 finish. I think Michael Mayer is going to be many years of like tight end 7 to tight end 12. I think he's going to be a multiple time tight end 1, and in a tight end premium format like this, I think he's a very, very valuable pick here.
All right. So put it on the board so we could see it there. Going back to the 2 point, what it would be. So this would be 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2.7. Scott, you're back on the clock.
Yeah, I mean, I know Matt took Zach Charbonnet at 110. I think the danger pre-NFL draft is trying to select the running backs from 110 to 301 because there's a ton of them. After the NFL draft, I think it's going to be a lot clearer. So that's what makes these mocks even more challenging before the NFL draft this year, because there's going to be, I don't know how many running backs you have going from like early round 3 to mid round 4, Cody, but everywhere I look, it's 10 to 12. Like just getting lumped in there. And honestly, I don't think the draft capital matters as much as where they land in that range. So it's really hard to pick the running backs. Everyone's just kind of picking their guy. They're trying to project draft capital. I'm between 2. I would have taken Mayer. That's great value for Theo at the 206 and a 1.75 premium where you can flex them. You can flex them, and they're as viable as receivers in this.
Whoa, it's
format.
1.75?
Yeah,
I thought it was 1.5.
1.75.
You got
dude.
I would have taken Mayer.
Matt, you didn't read the rules.
Oh, I didn't read the rules.
Number 1 rule: read the rules.
All right, Cody, back up the draft. Rewind the draft 5 picks, please.
Let him have Mayer. He deserves it. He's the host. Give him Mayer.
Do that. You can't not.
No take backs.
First
He's-
rule.
I'll trade Matt Mayer for Abanikanda, and next year's second rounder when we
Next
Seems
year's
like a fair
Yes,
trade.
yes,
Matt.
no,
Not a trigger.
I'll have an extra pick next
Big
year.
mistake.
It's called the leverage, Theo. I like you
That's
working it. I think there's 2 picks here. I'm either going running back or I'm going receiver. Man, Cody, where you got Josh Downs going? Where do you have him getting picked?
We're picking back to back, man. I can't be telling you all my shit. Come on now.
It's just
Downs,
your
I got
mock
going
draft
to
info.
I got him going to the Lions at 48.
Yeah, I'm looking at a mock right now that has him going 50. If he goes in the top 50, he will be gone here. I would have taken him potentially with the last pick. I mean, you could put him right in the range with Quentin Johnston. I know he's small, but I think if he goes top 50, he'll be gone. So this is a steal. I'll go Josh Downs, 207.
I like the point that Scott made about it doesn't even matter the draft capitals. It matters the landing spot. I remember that Tyler Algier was being taken at like 2.8 to 2.10 in a lot of sharp drafts. So, and he was a 5th rounder. So ahead of Bijan Robinson and a few other guys. So that makes a good point there. All right. Cody, you're back on the clock here at the 2.8.
Give me the big boy, Tank Bigsby from Auburn. All I've seen is consistency from him on a bad team, back to back to back, 900 plus all-purpose yard seasons at Auburn, and nobody's talking about him. Lance Zierlein was referenced about a half an hour ago. I can't remember who mentioned him here on the show, but he's talked a couple times about talking to NFL teams, and the player that nobody brings up is Tank Bigsby. Why do you think that is? It's not because they don't care. It's because nobody wants to talk about him. And you hear this every once in a while where there's guys that don't get talked about. It's because everybody likes him. And I think Tank is that guy. He's 21 years old. And he was at one point in that conversation with Evans and Bijan. And as far as mock drafting goes, I put him 101 to the Chargers. And I think that's another guy. Like, they need somebody to just come in there and play either behind Eckler or take over for Eckler. I got the Chargers getting in back into the back end of round 3 and getting Tank Bigsby.
All right. That sounds like a good pick there.
Is that, you think that's why no one's talking about Abanikanda, or is it just that he's bad?
Tank Bigsby is kind of like Dameon Pierce last year, where he could fall into that 4th round and land very, very well.
I think he's a lot like who Cody was putting him on the same team as, Isaiah Spiller, under efficient, former Debbie Darling. But I don't think Tank has got the goods. He was bad on a per play basis. He was bad on a per play basis compared to his teammates. I had Noah Hills on the pod today, and I asked him about those efficiency ratings and his Bay ratings, and none of that was any good. He wasn't very good in the pass game, negative 1.7 ADOT. I am glad that Tank Bigsby's off the board. I don't know who the hell to take. I don't have anybody better to take, but I certainly so I'm not going to like dunk on Cody with my pick, but I will definitely dunk on Cody with his pick. I don't know what to do. I mean, it's the running backs. It's one of the running backs. And, one of the guys I'm higher on just because of the profile and the way he does profile as a pass catcher, as he ran a lot of wheel routes and was a downfield presence, and who I'm inclined to take, provided he's healthy. This pick will be not this person if he does not get draft capital, because the draft capital will signify whether or not the NFL is worried about his health. But if they're not, and he gets like round 3 capital, I am happy to smash for Sean Tucker.
Oh, yes.
What? Who did the snarl? Who? That sounds like Cody's snarl.
It's 100% Cody.
Cody's revenge for the comments about his boy Tank.
Cody, just clarify it for the audience.
No, take it.
For listening. Was that a snarl that you like to pick or that you don't
he hates
like to pick?
It was a chuckle because I don't have Sean Tucker in my top 10.
All right, that makes sense.
He was setting me up to say Spears. I thought he was saying Spears the whole time.
Spears is another one who could be a medical problem too, and he could see the same exact fate. You're absolutely right, Matt. Absolutely.
All right, Podfather, 2.10. You're on the clock.
The chalk pick is Achane.
Yep.
Our rankings say Achane. The pick should be Achane. But even though this is technically a different team, I'm still tilting from the last pick from a different team, though it was a different team, and I'm not the same owner. So I'm not the same guy that was drafting the other team that took Abanikanda, and I'm still tilting that I wanted Mayer, and then Jax talked me into Abanikanda, and then Theo came over the top and said, this is obviously Mayer, and then it's 1.75. I'm like, what? So I'm tilting on so many levels, though this isn't the same team that's tilting with. I'm a different guy who's not actually tilting. But I am a human that's on the podcast trying to pretend I'm two different guys, and I'm actually tilting. So I can't not tilt. And so I can't go Achane because I'm tilting, though not trying to not tilt to pretend that it's a separate team, though I'm the same guy drafting. I'm taking Spears. Fuck it all.
Yeah, I'm surprised he lasted this long. Also, I guess
that was
there's
so good.
Yeah, that's a clippable moment, Fantasy Dave. So, Dave, get on that one. Mark that
analysis right there.
Yeah. All right, Memphis, you're on the clock. 2.11. Hopefully, you feel as better about your last pick than not Podfather, but the guy who Podfather was playing in the pick before that feels.
The way he was talking, I was like, he's going to do it again. He's going to do it again. He's going to take the guy that I want. And I'm taking the guy who sounds like a country music singer because it's tight end premium. It's 1.75. I think this guy opened for Jason Aldean last week, but I'll take Luke Musgrave given the premium. And he's out of 320 athleticism scores per player profiler, he's 16th. So he's in the top 5% of all athletes in this draft class per player profiler. And I stole him in a 1.75 tight end premium at what would be the 211. So I know I passed on Mayer earlier, but I was so grateful to get Musgrave here.
Yeah, Musgrave, the trivia question that's been floating around Twitter is that he was a 4-sport state champion level athlete in high school. Can you name those 4 sports? Theo, do you remember what the 4 sports were?
Cross-country skiing, Alan. I listened to you.
Alpine skiing.
Whatever. It's the same shit to me.
Well, they're a little different, but go ahead. Alpine skiing, football, obviously. Cody, anyone? Jax, Scott, can you name the other 2 that he was a state champion high school athlete in?
Tell me it's wrestling. Tell me it was wrestling, and I stole him.
Wrestling's got to be one.
Oh, then I stole this guy a full round earlier. Wrestlers are dogs.
Track and field.
Track and field was the other one. I'm not sure if he were.
Memphis. You see Kincaid, going oftentimes as the 5th tight end off the board, and so in a lot of ways, I was game theorying it. I thought I was going to be able to get him at 5.3 because of the other tight ends that often go before him. I love Kincaid. He could be. Musgrave, and he could be my tight end 1 in this class. That's how good he is. So I love the pick.
I love that his mock. So like McShay recently did a 3-round mock with Kuiper, and McShay took him 40 overall.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty high praise given this tight end class and the needs of a lot of these teams. And I'm like, I actually heard Matt, the Podfather, talking about him the other day on another podcast, and that's why I was stunned that he did not take him right before me after passing on Mayer last time.
I was
Yep.
tilting.
He's tilting.
I
He's
forgot the 1 point. I'm still forgetting the one, but that's a different guy. I'm a different owner. Now but I didn't, the other owner of the other team didn't remind this owner of this team that it's actually 1.75. So I'm learning the lesson all over again as a new owner.
You're tilting squared.
All right, Memphis, make the pick so we can get to Theo. I've just put it in.
Yep, you got it.
Walk the card up. All right, Theo is going to make this pick, and you were on the clock. This is 2.12, the last pick of the second round.
I'll quickly say to listen to the podcast Matt was on, he was with our boy Matty Kiwoom on the game plan, and they dove into the tight end position from a Dynasty perspective. It was a very, very good show. This is an easy pick for me. I stand for him. I got into a couple arguments with my man Cody about him. I am a big fan of Devon Achane, and to get him here, I'm thrilled. I think the draft capital is going to be there. He's explosive. I understand that we're talking about a guy who's 185 pounds, but this is a back who I think has a couple of RB2 seasons in him as long as he holds up. I think he's extremely explosive, and I think that he's going to be a productive player in this league. I hope he lands with an offensive coordinator who can put him next to a thumper where you can get these creative touches for Achane. I'm gonna pound the table for Achane right here. I'm thrilled with this pick.
Theo, can I ask you a quick question?
Ask me anything.
Without mentioning his 40 time, tell me what you like about Devon Achane.
I like that he was a productive running back in the SEC. I like that he dominated in a bowl game as a freshman. And I think that he can develop into a receiver. I think that's an outcome where I think that there'll be a offensive coordinator who's going to view him as that, and they're going to use him in creative ways. I understand the apprehension. We've seen guys like Javid Best, just fall out of the league and not hold up. But I believe in the talent, and I believe in the fact that he did it in the SEC. What do you think about him, Memphis?
I mean, I'm looking at his card on Player Profiler. He has no burst. He's like in an 18th percentile, burst score. It's great that you're fast. We've seen a lot of fast guys burn out in the NFL. He's 5'9", $188. Like, if you're concerned about Jahmyr Gibbs' weight, no way. I mean, you nailed it. Jerry, my co-host, he comped him to Javid Best the other day. I just don't see 5'9", $188. Maybe if he lands in Denver and Sean Payton can give him, that kind of a special role. Maybe, I don't know. I just don't see a lot of fantasy points here. Maybe he takes one to the house, but without burst, he's just a fast dude who's small.
Well, it sounds like Achane's going to be another polarizing guy. I've seen him ranked as high as RB4 in some rankings, and it doesn't sound like Memphis has him that high based on what he just described. All right, we are in the third round. We're about an hour and 10 minutes in. We do have time. We're not going to call this lightning round, guys. We're going to call this the speed round. So it's not as fast as lightning, but it's a little bit faster so we can get to the end. All right, Scott, you're back on the clock at 3.1.
Yeah, just comment on Luke Musgrave. I'm the Raz guy. I'm always talking about Raz scores 40 times, like what's predicted for tight ends. He's going to have it all. The only concern I have with him and Darnell Washington is yards per team pass attempt, dominator percentile. There's very, very, very few top 12 tight ends that are where those guys are, even with everything else.
Scott, Scott, the only pushback there is his last year, he had like 180 yards in 2 games and got hurt. Like, he was well on his way to having some of that. I know that's a a what if and all that, but I feel like he was going to get there. I mean, even if he was sort of mediocre, for the rest of the season, he was going to get there, I think. And that's what's hiding him a little bit from some of us data guys, is that we're like trying to put too much weight on that, but he didn't do it. So I understand what you're saying.
Come to the Senior Bowl with us next year, Scott. We can stand next to him. He's amazing.
He's a beast.
And I will say that Musgrave is also from Bend, Oregon, the same hometown as our own Billy Muzio at Player Profiler. So Billy's really pulling for him as well.
If there's a guy that reminds me of Kelsey, it's him.
Yeah, he's cuckoo. Yeah,
size, personality, athleticism, and then he does have that. Like, Kelsey missed that first season in the NFL with the knee injury. Essentially, Musgrave missed that last. Basically, he needed the Senior Bowl. Him, Roschon, Spears, they needed the Senior Bowl. And notice who stepped up in the Senior Bowl in a big way. Those 3 dudes.
Podfather, before Scott makes the pick, why don't you tell everybody what you have going on when you guys are making the trip to Kansas City and where they can watch the live draft coverage? And actually, what are you guys going to be doing for those who didn't see the broadcast last year?
We're going to be live for every round of every pick. We're also going to be doing a takeaway show from the first round before the second round starts. Anna and Nduri and I are also going to be going to ESPN studio in Kansas City to be on ESPN radio. We have 5 media passes. The NFL keeps giving us more media passes. They're treating us like a real media company. We also have tickets to watch it from the fan zone. So we're going to have guys in the fan zone, guys at the draft itself, guys at the house. We also have a news desk, like a Schefter-esque news desk set up for Jack Kavanaugh. Holy shit. Are we really doing all this?
Yeah, when you hear it spelled out like that, it does sound. And I'll tell you, as someone who was watching it last year, I turned down the volume. Most people are going to be watching on TV. I have the TV on. You turn down the volume, and I watched the Player Profiler live broadcast. It really, you guys had the picks before the television delay had them last year. I don't know how you did that, but
You want to hear something cool? So I know someone who works at ESPN, and I know someone who recently left ESPN, and both of these people had parallel conversations with me in totally separate contexts. And they said, what you're doing is why we're in trouble. That we can do what we're doing for such a low cost. I mean, it's not the lowest cost. I mean, it's costing thousands of dollars, but it's not costing like hundreds of thousands of millions, right? For the big network broadcast to do what we're doing. People would be shocked of just going to Amazon and buying equipment and using Airbnb and using the Turo app, right? And using Southwest Airlines, some of the things that you can do to do what we're going to do in a way that you can't compete with that. In the long run, the big networks cannot compete what we're doing.
And also that you're talking about it from a fantasy and gambling perspective, which everybody knows at this point is what drives NFL ratings. All right. So everybody check that out. You just subscribe to this channel if you're not already subscribed, and bookmark it because they're going to be live. Player Profiler, the whole team, Cody, everybody down there, Theo, everyone's going, and they'll be basically beyond for the entire draft. All right. Back on our mock draft here. Superflex, rookie draft. Scott Connor, you're on the clock. We're in the 3rd round now. It's starting to thin out a little bit, so we're taking some upside shots, I presume.
I was shocked Memphis passed up on the Hendon Hooker to Jalin Hyatt combination, which he could have locked in. But I'm going to pass on the Jalin Hyatt pick here. I'm going to take Sam Laporta. I think he is a 2nd-round tight end. He's got everything. Only worry with Sam Laporta is he's a little small. He's only 6'3". Historically, it's not great, but I'm fine with it. I think it's great value here, given where the other tight ends have went.
Scott, you talked about the short tight ends. I thought that was interesting research you did. Maybe you could share that real quick.
Yes, I mean, the biggest predictor of tight end production in fantasy is playing time. Come to think of it. I mean, yeah, you need to be athletic. Yeah, you need to have opportunity. But there's just not a lot of historical tight ends that are 6'3" or under because they don't get full-time roles. Now, it depends on where he lands, but there's a lot of comps out there where you look at guys that are 6'3", 245, and there's usually another tight end there that's just annoying enough to keep them from being definitely top 5. But 1.75 premium, I'm a little more liberal with collecting them versus thinking they need to hit a certain threshold.
Tweener's a problem.
Yep.
Cody, you're on the clock with the 3 point. Scott, just make the pick on the board if you don't mind. And then, Cody, you will be on the clock at pick 3.2.
The pick is further down the board. I could probably wait, but this team just happens to be good at running back with Kendre Miller. I got Jaxon Smith-Njiba. Now I'm going to go get the guy that's 6'1", 226 pounds, running a 4.46. No, it's not A.J. Brown. He's not as good as A.J. Brown either, but he is from Ole Miss, and his name is Jonathan Mingo. In his mock draft, ADP in the NFL has been rising exponentially over the last month and a half. And I have him going in the 50s to the New York Giants, and they're missing an alpha. I'm not saying Mingo's an alpha because he never proved that he was at Ole Miss, but I'm just saying it's in the range of outcomes. Give me Jonathan Mingo.
Why has Mingo been getting buzz lately? Where was he during the early part of the process?
In no man's land, because he didn't, he was a Devi guy. I remember Fusuvu talking about him about 3 years ago, and he really just never really hit. And then when the athleticism came through, Quentin Johnston was supposed to run a 4.40, jump 40 inches, and be 6'3", 215 pounds, and he wasn't there. And then Jonathan Mingo is like, hey, man, I had a decent Senior Bowl. And then he has a 96 percentile speed score, top 20 athlete all-time on Player Profiler. And all of a sudden, you find yourself another alpha, and he's not even 22 years old yet.
All right, Jax Falcone, you follow him at Dino Game Theory. You were on the clock at pick 3.3.
Sorry, I was muted. It's like let me see here. Sorry, I was checking something. All right, I think I've got to take the big man. Y'all know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Yep.
Cunts.
Yes, cunts.
Yes.
No.
I smelt that pick coming.
Oh, sheesh. I'm going to take look, I'm between a couple of guys, but in tight end premium, you're sort of swinging for the fences.
Super premium.
It's
goddamn super premium.
Yeah, it's pretty premium here. And here in, let's see, the 3.03 in a tight end premium league, I'm willing to go ahead and push in on the big man from Darnell Washington. So give me the size, speed, freak who, if he's used in the NFL the way that we can envision he might be, he can pay off. There's certainly some bust potential here as he has some serious liabilities in the pass game, but you never know. So I'm willing to take him, especially given what's left on the board, especially at wide receiver.
What's the percentage chance that Washington lands in the first round of the real NFL draft, Jax?
Cody, you're saying 0% chance he goes in the first round?
Cody, come on. You got to give it like 15%.
Dog. No.
10% chance.
Zero.
Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys is the one.
Dallas Cowboys be the last in the draft. I promise you that because they think he's a tackle.
All right.
Breaking news.
Dallas Cowboys.
He's a tackle on their board.
Cody says 0. Theo says 15.
Well,
Jax,
there's a handful of guys where the fantasy players are just so far off from NFL evaluators. This is one of those guys.
It may be.
I'm worried it's also Abanikanda.
Jax, what's your percentage on Darnell Washington?
The point of the matter is I'm almost never drafting these tight ends in a non-tight end premium. So I'm generally
super
passing.
premium.
But because it's 1.75, I mean, in the third and fourth round, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to take some wide receiver that even if he hits as a wide receiver 4-5, and, I mean, at least with Darnell Washington, if he hits, all he has to do is catch 4 balls a game. And that's a huge win in a 1.75. So I'm happy taking him here. But I think, I don't know enough about the draft. I do know that he is an elite prospect in terms of physicality. That much we know for a stone cold fact. Whether or not, and the fact that some teams view him as a tackle could be a good thing. Now, it may not be a good thing for his fantasy production because he might be blocking more than he's out in routes. But that's just going to be landing spot dependent. So we'll have to see where he ends up. But you got to figure he's landing in the second round. Cody, you think he falls out of the second round?
Late second.
What's more likely, first round or third round?
Third.
All right.
True. Yeah.
Podfather. 3.
Cody, you ready for
4.
this? Cody, let's do a countdown. Cody, you ready for this?
You're not going to take my guy.
5,
Fuck
4, 3, 2, 1.
Ooh, nice. Nice.
Yep.
So for the listening audience, that was not great radio. So just say the pick.
You got me! Oh, Dad! He waited this whole time. Nailed me to the cross. Thank you, Alan.
It only took 4 years for me to finally get you.
That was a good one. That was good. I took Tucker Kraft because this was my whole elaborate ruse, was to pretend like I should have taken Mayer, pretend like I should have taken Musgrave, wink, wink, wink the entire time, knowing it was super premium all along. With Tucker Kraft always in mind. Always in mind. Oh, yes. With the backwards hat. This guy, this South Dakota State in the shoes of Dallas Goedert, literally wearing the same shoes that he wore at South Dakota State. Oh, I'm so happy.
Yeah, you're probably right.
All right. Back on the clock here at pick number 3.5. We have Mr. Memphis Randall. Who's it going to be?
I'm excited. I love these kind of guys. I've drafted a lot of guys like this over the years. Terry McLaurin, senior wide receiver. Cooper Kupp, senior wide receiver. A guy who's raising in mocks again. I'll take Cody's feedback, but I'm going to take Michael Wilson. I really like this guy. Compared to what's on the board, they're all kind of in a similar tier. And I like what I see athletically. And I don't say he's a proper alpha, but if he hits, he could be a good one here. So, Cody, what do you think about Michael Wilson? Are you seeing him raise in mocks?
What do we think about 77 to the Rams?
Sold American. He could be the heir apparent to Cooper Kupp. I want him to go to a place like that. I mean, he wouldn't be a good fit in Indy, but the Rams, New England, he feels like a Belichick type guy. They need some wide receiver help there. We want to put everybody on the Chargers because we love Justin Herbert. Let's not lie. But, could he be a good fit in Kansas City? I don't know. But I know he's going to get more than likely day 2 NFL draft capital. And I think that's going to cause his ADP in these rookie drafts to go up.
Theo, you're the last pick. You're this. You are the last pick of the third round. Memphis is going to make his pick right now. He's going to walk the card up and punch it in. And then you are on the clock. Usually, if you have pick 312, I mean, that's
This
something
is
I'm using.
3-6.
3-6. Okay. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so I screwed up again.
It's very confusing. Alan.
Come on,
Yeah.
moderator.
All right, one.
So, actually, I don't.
I mean, you have one
I
job,
would not
Alan.
blame him for this. I've been confused about which round it is, what team I'm drafting for the entire time. So that I'm not going to give him a hard time for.
And my deep work comes usually at 9 a.m. to 2 noon. I fall off a cliff starting there. So this is like way past my brain power time. So but I will get it right for the rest of the year. So 3.6, middle of the third round. Same principle though that I used to use these picks as throw-ins, but I'm looking at the names here, man. There's some stuff that you have to like.
Yes.
So I'm going to go kind of off the beaten path here. Cody will not like this pick at all.
I know.
But I'm going to go with Dwayne McBride out of UAB, 215-pound back. He ran for 7 yards per carry. And as a shameless plug, we had Dwayne McFarland on First Class Fantasy. Dwayne McFarland's model has Dwayne McBride as his RB5. RB5, Dwayne and Dwayne. So I'm moving him up a little bit. I'm taking him right here in the middle of the third.
Theo, I kicked you for taking Devon Achane, but I love this pick. I was hoping he was going to slide back to me at the final pick of the third round for my team.
All right, so I am certain that this is 3.6 now. Now I'm back recalibrated. So Scott, you're back on the clock.
Yeah, real quick point on Michael Wilson, the guy that's been working closest with him, Bengal legend Tyjae Spears. That could be a Bengals pick that no one's talking about. They're going to replace Tyler Boyd. That they're going to take a receiver that people are not going to love the landing spot right away, but that's going to be one that should be kept on the radar because that's the Hushmanzada Michael Wilson connection.
Scott runs pure when it comes to Cincinnati stuff. I'll give you props on that, Scott. You're usually pretty right with that team.
Scott, what round do you see Wilson going? Is it the third? Is it the fourth?
It's probably the third. That's where they would probably target him.
If there was a particular round that a particular wide receiver would get drafted in, if I had to pick a round other than Jaxon Smith-Njiba first round, I would say Michael Wilson third rounder.
Yeah, that's your highest confidence landing spot.
It's so clear that based on his size, his athleticism, the way he excelled at the Senior Bowl, where did Terry McLaurin go? Third round.
76.
He's going to go 76.
Cooper Kupp went 69.
It is where Brian Edwards and Miles Edwards also went. So
every receiver that looks like him almost exactly goes in the middle of the third round. I mean, is that a bet somewhere? Can I make that bet that he's going to go third round? If there's a bet on DraftKings, I'll take it.
I'll take it.
All right. So if Scott could just put that card in real quick, Cody, you are on the clock now at 3.7.
Well, I didn't pick because Michael
was
Wilson
gonna
was
say-
already gone.
I
I just made a comment.
Okay. A guy, right.
I'll make this quick. I don't really like this guy, but he will not be here. He could go in the top 40, which is my cutoff. So I'm just going to take Jalin Hyatt and stop the suffering.
Wasn't there some Jalin Hyatt, like crazy mocks that he was going in the first round to the Giants or the Chargers? I mean,
Yeah.
if that
think
happens, there's no
I think
way
there's-
that he.
Yeah, there's still a range of outcome for that. I mean, he's the speed. I talked to Lance Zierlein at the NFL Combine. He has him as his number one receiver because there's no alphas in the class. And he basically said it's one thing. He's a one-trick pony, yes, but that one trick is special. and
You
it's
can't
game-changer.
criticize
It's
Hendon
field flipper.
Hooker for his offense, in a fake offense. You can't say Hendon Hooker played in a fake offense and then have Hyatt number one. That doesn't make any sense. How are people doing this?
Hey, I don't have him top 12, so I ain't
We
care.
have Hyatt in this mock draft going where he belongs, though he's not the best receiver from his school, which
Right.
we'll get to.
Table talk.
Which we'll get to maybe in the next 5 picks, maybe not.
Scott,
But just looking at draft capital, Scott's right. You got to take him.
Scott, if he does go in the first round, just say even if it's late first round, where do you predict he'll go in Superflex rookie drafts?
I mean, this is a sharp room. So the last time I was on a pod with Cody, we both dared who was going to take him first, and he went to the third round too. So I think this room, he's going here. Someone will justify what you said earlier, Alan. Oh, man, first round receiver. Who the hell else do I take? If you're not in the 1.75 premium, a lot of this orange on the board is going to be removed.
Right.
So he's probably going to go mid to late second at the latest. Someone's just going to see the capital and go, I'll take a shot on that guy.
Which isn't a bad play either, when you're at 2.7.
1.75, ruining the draft.
True.
All right, Cody, you're up at 3.7.
All right. Well, this is the area where I'm starting to look mostly if you're sitting here at 312, right? You're going to be looking outside the top 10 at the running back position, but I have 2 guys that are still in my top 10. And because I have it ranked this way, I'm going to go with the guy that's ranked higher, even though in the late third, in the fourth, and the fifth, everybody I target at running back is 215 plus pounds every time. This guy is not 215 plus. I'm not going to take Tion Evans, even though I want to. I'm going to take Zach Evans.
You
I'm
son
going
of a...
to take Zach Evans because Zach Evans, the talent's there. He hasn't had a great process, but it's literally the 3.8 here.
Yeah.
The talent shouldn't be there at 3.8. I'm just going to shoot it. And that's I probably feel the same way about this pick as Scott does about Hyatt. So.
All right, Jax, you're up
Yeah,
at
I
the
was
3.8.
I was taking Zach Evans for sure. I was actually between Zach Evans and Darnell Washington last pick, and
9. 6, 7,
so
9,
yeah. I mean, I
3,
think
9.
Zach Evans is at least worth a pick. The way that we're devaluing him in the fantasy community, I think, is probably a little too far. He was a pretty dominant runner in terms of how effective he was, even compared to guys like Quinshon Judkins and Kendre Miller. Like he's been 7 yards a carry, 11 yards a catch his entire career, albeit on like 30 total catches. But Zach Evans has been pretty precocious. Let's just say that. So I think at the 3.8, that's a great pick. I'm going to take a favorite of mine and a guy that I'm just hoping gets enough draft capital so that he can fall into Scott Connor's sort of, he's not going to be top 40, but as close to that as possible. And that's Jayden Reed. I love Jayden Reed. He could be, a kind of nobody if he falls a little bit too much, but he's got what the NFL is looking for these days. And so for those reasons, I'm going to push the button for Jayden Reed.
Yeah. All right. Run that card up there. Podfather.
Upside value alert! Upside value alert! We got our guy!
3.10. Podfather.
I have to relook at the board. I'm gonna 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
310.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rashee Rice is still available. Punch the card.
Bring it up.
Let's go.
Hit it. I love that.
Breakout
sleeper
finder, darling. Rashee Rice, 200
Is he really?
pounds. Rashee Rice, athletic. Rashee Rice, prolific. I like Rashee Rice. And I think the NFL likes Rashee Rice too, right, Cody?
I think it'd be a 3rd round pick.
All right.
There it is.
Before we get to our last 2 picks of our rookie Superflex tight end premium mock draft, if you enjoy videos like this, just please consider hitting the like button, right? Subscribe to the channel and get notifications when Player Profiler puts up new videos every single day. I think it's up to every single hour at this point. It's not even every day. I mean, it's like a TV that doesn't shut off. I mean, if you tune in any hour of the day, you guys are having content on the channel right now. So
It's almost like we're competing against ESPN.
Yeah. ESPN, and any other sports network that's on. All right, let's finish out last couple picks, and then what we'll do, I want everyone to start thinking about one piece of draft advice you can give people as they enter, because most people aren't in one dynasty draft, one rookie. They're in 10, they're in 15, they're in 30. So these drafts are coming fast and furious. So after these last two picks, everyone's going to give you one piece of advice that you should really think about before your rookie draft start on Monday. All right, but before that, pick 3.11, Memphis, back on the clock here. Who are some of the upside players you're looking at here?
Well, you know when you're in a room full of sharps, when all the running back talent is gone, the athleticism left at the running back position is that of the local pickup game at the YMCA basketball. They're all more athletic than us, but I am just bummed. So I'm going to take a guy. How the Devi mighty have fallen. This guy was the 101 a few years ago at the wide receiver position. Maybe he gets some NFL draft capital. I'm really bummed not to get a good running back. The Podfather got me several times tonight, but I'm going to take Kayshon Boutte. Maybe he can resurrect his career. Maybe he goes to LA and lands in a good spot, or he can be someone's wide receiver too. Maybe he matures a little bit, not even 21. And to get him at the 311, I guess. Maybe I'll trade Luke Musgrave for Zach Charbonnet plus. I don't know.
Memphis, I guess.
All right. So
Memphis, this is the spot
Rice. I just pulled up Rice on the breakout finder.
I know. You killed me. Yeah, you got me.
Uh-oh.
All right, Mr. Irrelevant, Theo, you're on the clock. So most rookie drafts are going to be 4 and 5 rounds, but for our purposes tonight, who's going to be this year's Mr. Irrelevant?
So I'm going to go with the guy with a lot of speed, and he is the number 1 rated on Cody's dog meter.
Yeah.
Dog ratings, we have Trey Palmer up there. So Trey Palmer is going to have to
Love
land
Trey
well.
Palmer.
But Trey Palmer here, I'll take him as a value, and I don't have a wide receiver yet. Neither Theo team has a wide receiver yet, so I'm taking Trey Palmer.
All right, that's it. No Evan Hull noticeably missing from this mock draft. I'm sure he would have been one of the next couple picks. Chase
I considered
Brown.
Hull. Hull
Okay.
was on my
Memphis
queue.
can go back and take Hall.
How about
back it
Cedric
out.
Tillman? How about Cedric Tillman? Anybody?
I had him in my
Tillman.
queue as well, Cody.
Yeah. Listen, guys. Look at this board. This is a sharp board. We had a tilting guy in the draft, and it was still incredibly sharp.
All right, let's go around the room real quick. We're going to go in reverse order this time. Just before people sign off, stick to it, because this is the good stuff right here. One piece of advice, Theo, you want to tell people about before they enter their rookie drafts. What's it going to be?
I think that this is the year that you want to invest in running backs. I think it's a very good running back class. I think if there's ties to be broken, go with the running back. I love Jaxon Smith-Njiba, and I love a couple of these other wide receivers. But I think when you get down to the second round, I think the money's going to be made at the running back position. And don't be afraid to draft a tight end. I think this is a transformative tight end class. I know that some people are scared to roster rookie tight ends. Don't roster multiple ones, but you want to have exposure to this tight end class.
All right.
Hey, wait, Theo, you must love my team then, or teams.
Matt, I like your team. I know that there were some guys shaking their head on the Charbonnet pick. I love your Charbonnet pick.
I bet. Well, the Anthony Richardson at the 104 really helps.
It's a fantastic pick. I love the way you started the draft, and I think the Abanikanda pick, like between Spears and Abanikanda, one of those two guys is going to land well in the NFL draft, and this draft's going to look better.
It worked out. Abanikanda worked out because of Kraft and Rice.
All right. Sound advice, Theo. Take running backs when in doubt. Memphis, there's a lot of people looking at this draft, looking for advice. We've given them the picks. What's something that you think they need to keep in mind this year?
I got 2. I'll make the first one quick. Don't draft next to the Podfather. He clearly knows what he's doing and took the running backs that I wanted. That was a bummer. That's number 1. Number 2, if you're 3 out, write down your 3 highest ranked players on the board. And then if you can't trade or don't trade, you know who you're going to take. You don't, because most of these drafts are slow drafts and you have 8 hours most of the time in between picks. Go through the list, curate it and write down who you're going to take. Okay, I'm 3 out. Here's my top 3 on the board. Because if you just wait and kind of see what happens, you'll be scrambling and you'll make the wrong pick.
Yeah, be prepared. Have a list ready. I like that, especially since there's going to be multiple drafts coming at you. Podfather, there's a lot of things that people do wrong. What do you think the biggest mistake is that people make during their rookie draft?
Well, I was just scrambling to try to think of what my advice would be because Theo stole my advice.
Well, that's why I changed it up. a
Yeah,
little bit.
because
I saw you.
that was a bummer.
So what do you think? Is it
I
like
think
a
this year
classic
you want to end up with more running backs than receivers in your rookie draft. I think that's a general rule of thumb, unless you end up with the only time you might actually not is if you're Scott and you end up with somehow with Bijan and Gibbs. Like, okay, you're okay at running back there. Otherwise, probably more total running backs than receivers. That's a little back of the napkin trick. And the mistakes, generally speaking, I think we did this right in another, even though I pretended not to know the format, wink, wink, you'll never know if I actually did. The big mistake is not knowing the format, but tight ends going too early, man. Tight ends go too early, even in tight end premium. This is a great class, but even if it's not a great class, typically these tight ends are traps. You can get them the next year or the year after at value. You're spending all that carrying cost on these guys, and the payoff is rarely worth it, even in tight end premium. Given it's tight end super premium, where we took these tight ends is where they should go. But in another league, if this was actually 1.75, all these tight ends would have gone around earlier. It would have been wild to see where Kincaid and Mayer went, Musgrave, Washington, Laporta. And it's just wrong. It's just wrong to take so few of them by percentage ever help your fantasy team. The math would tell you not to especially this year when the best tight end from this class could be Musgrave, could be Kraft. We'll see.
All right. Fair advice right there. Jax Falcone, what's something that everyone needs to remember or be careful of when they start their rookie drafts on Monday?
I think Matt said it too with the tight end. This is almost how a regular non-tight end premium draft will look in a lot of leagues where these tight ends get steamed up for no good reason. And a lot of times you can just wait and get your tight end late. My bit of advice is don't be afraid to trade your pick. As a matter of fact, look to trade your pick. Someone's going to fall in love with somebody. It doesn't matter who it is. It really oftentimes doesn't matter who the player is. You're trading that pick for value. A lot of times you'll be in the early second. And I can't tell you how many times I've told someone who is trading up, I'm like, bro, you and I both know this player is a first round value. And what do? They'll give you a future first plus to get the early second round player. And you just got your value back. And I know Scott's probably sitting there going, because I know he's done the same thing. And, it's all about value in these drafts. You don't know if you're going to pick the right guy or not, but if you can exact value, trade back and still get your guy or a guy and then get future draft capital. That's the way to go. So always be ready to trade your pick because there's someone else out of the 11 other guys in your league who is madly in love with your pick, i.e. the player that's going to go right there.
Yeah, this is my kind of fantasy advice. I rarely make the pick. I'm always trading for veterans. It's just the way I do it. I like that. Cody Carpentier, what is something that everyone should remember or certainly be careful of as we start our drafts?
Well, the first question you asked was advice, and you switched it up, but I'm going to go with that because that's what I had in my brain.
Sure.
I will say drafting fifth in line for advice is kind of tough. The one thing I was going to say was on top of know your league and know your rules is take the opportunity to do mocks. Be a part of mocks. If you're on Twitter, there's sleeper links all over. Jump in the mocks and understand where guys are going in comparison to where you like them to go. I might really like Jalin Hyatt. But if I think he's the best receiver in the class, I don't have to take him in the first round. I can take him in the third round, right? If I like Jalin Hyatt, I don't like him. So with that being said, jump in as many mocks as you can. And if you want next Friday after the NFL draft, after day one is over, so day 2, Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern time, Mock Draft Mania. We'll be drafting 4 straight hours, live streamed. We'll be doing 4 mock drafts on Friday morning. And so jump on in the chat on YouTube on Player Profiler. And
we are
like crazy. Yes, sir.
All right.
Holy shit.
Scott, you're a saint with your patience. You sit there, you waited till it came around there. You had a lot of time to think about it. I'm sure everyone stole a couple of your thoughts there, but what's going to be the last piece of advice you give people before we start their rookie drafts or a cautionary tale?
Yeah, a lot of good advice given by the panel already. top 50 draft capital for receivers. Otherwise, you're potentially getting into roster clogger range. Any running back on a 53-man roster, if it applies in any year, it's this year. There's good running backs that are going to go round 5, round 6. So 4th round undrafted free agents on your league. There's going to be options there. The last thing I will say is this. If you're playing in a portfolio, so let's just call it 10 or more leagues, not 2 leagues, not 3 leagues. If you're in 2 leagues, get your players, get the guys you like. If you're playing in a lot of leagues, expand your board early. Don't take 10 shares of the same player in the first round.
There it is.
Because it's a big investment and there is variance. Slim your board as you get later, though. And I'm going to slim my board to running backs and then players that I think I can resell. I loved the Zach Evans and the Kayshon Boutte pick. I don't like either one, but I guarantee you there's somebody else in your league that does. They have a preseason highlight. You're selling for a pick or a round or more higher than where you took them. So know your league, know the buzz on players, but slim your board at the end of drafts. I'd rather take Zach Evans in 8 leagues because you know what? If something happens, I can easily sell a couple of them.
Yep.
Because I'm pulling from excess. It's not, oh man, I only have him in 1. I don't want to sell him because I think he could be really good. Take a lot of them. Narrow in on a few players and take him everywhere you can when you're getting into the 4th and then off waivers.
That's the Elijah Mitchell thing from a couple of years ago. That makes a lot of sense, guys. And the last thing I'll add on there is, it's 101 advice, but take the best player on the board. Don't fill a position need. I think that's Dynasty 101 right there, right? Don't just take the next running back if you have a wide receiver rated a little bit higher. All right, guys, we did it.
One thing on that. I learned that lesson many, many years ago where I had Jordan Matthews in every league. And I didn't trade him after his best year as a rookie. And I had him in every league. And it was just a slow process of letting him go across every league. And wow, if I had just diversified in that draft class, wow. Whoops.
Yep. We all have Dynasty war stories. That's a good topic for another podcast. Bad trades and Dynasty war stories. All right, everybody. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Follow all of the panel on Twitter and all their social medias. They're linked in the video description below. And other than that, there's another show coming up right after this one. So stay tuned to the Player Profiler YouTube channel. Who's coming up next, Cody?
The Writers Roundtable. They're live right now, so hop on over there.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us on the Player Profiler Superflex Rookie Super Premium Tight End Draft. We'll see you next time.